Here you on the Steve Harvey Show delivering the news, but are there any examples you can give us of stories about a person or group that you've read that really stuck with you on an effective way they were able to get their voices heard?
Well, I try to do that in practically every story that I can. I try to use a lot of levity. If you listen to me, I try to get a little silly sometimes just to lift it out. But what I like to do is not be wins, all right? If I give you the same stories that are on wins, then what do you need me for? All right, so if I don't tell you what's going on in smaller towns or larger towns about our people, then what do you need me for? You know, there's a story right now, for instance, a brother, an Army veteran, who had a minor traffic accident, just involving him, okay, just he was hurt. And he didn't go to the police. He was supposed to, he got a ticket. He said, well, I'll get there around, I don't know, I'll get there. York, Pennsylvania. He went in. His brother, by the way, is an officer of the law. They never saw him again. He's dead. He was dead 2 days after. Hold up. They're trying to find out what happened to him. His organs are missing. His brain, his heart, they're all missing. Okay? You can find out how someone died by looking through their organs. That's what pathologists do. They're all missing. This is going on now. You're not going to hear this on Wins. You're not going to see it on ABC or CBS because it concerns us. And they really don't care. So what I like to do is make sure that I put those stories, include them in my cast. I don't have a lot of time, but I'm slick enough to get it in. You know me. I know how to get it in. I work for enough radio stations to know how to get it in. I let you know enough, and then you can go on my Facebook page or my Instagram and you can look at the full story. And if there's a video, you know darn well it's on my Facebook page. But I want you to know that those stories are out there. I want you to know how outrageously they still treat us and how we don't know. I also want you to be aware as a consumer. TV, I'm a power girl, okay, because that's on Stars. I do not watch Empire. Empire is on Fox. And if I see FOX on anything but a fur coat, I ain't dealing. Because Fox is Fox News. And Fox is fake news. And you run around watching Empire, you are supporting your oppressor. I do not support my oppressor. All right? I don't care if they're giving away money. Well, maybe there's like $2 million. But on the real, I don't care if they're giving away money. I'm not watching that channel. And so you have to think as a consumer, and you have to be aware of the news, but more importantly, you got to know where we are in this society, how people still look at us, how we are still treated, and how the only way we can change it is to vote. By the way, you got to be registered to vote by October 12th. And don't let anybody online or anything tell you that voting does not matter. Because the president we had, Mr. Obama, wouldn't have been there if voting didn't matter. Don't let nobody change you. Don't let them cheat you and lie to you. And don't lie to yourself.
All right, Ann, give it to him. Now, just in for a point of clarity, is it okay to watch Empire on Netflix? I'm just saying. I don't move on. Okay, we'll move on. No, there's a few questions I want to throw out. Everybody doesn't have to answer this, but I just want to, we have a short amount of time. I want to get as many questions in as possible, so if it speaks to you, answer it. But I think so many people think my voice doesn't matter. I'm not going to go say anything, so I'm just going to stay in my corner because no one's going to listen. It doesn't matter. I don't know if you all saw recently where there were two women that confronted Jeff Flake, a Republican, in an elevator. She said, look at me. Tell me my voice, my experience doesn't matter. That changed his perspective. That voice right there, those two women standing there, changed his perspective, and then he was able to delay the vote and then call for an investigation, which did happen. So that is just one recent example of how your voice does matter, and is important, and your vote matters just as much. But what can you all say to them to help them realize just how important every tweet, every post, every Facebook, everything is important to the direction of this country?
I mean, I can answer that, and just piggybacking off of what Ann said, and she talked about that story about a brother who was arrested and his organs went missing. That's a story of Everett Palmer. That's a story that I featured on my podcast with an interview with the family. And because I worked for WBLS, I was able to go to Fatima Muhammad And Fatim was able to feature on Open Line. And then Fatim went to Tripp, and Tripp was able to talk about and lift that story. But I found that story from someone on Facebook who said, Raqiyah, I hear about your podcast. You know what? I think you need to know about this. So that's where our voices matter. Really the underground network of telling one person, telling someone else, so that we are all there to really lift our story. So I just wanted to add that.
I want to piggyback off of Raqiyah it's always been the voice of one person that started the movement. It's always been one person to start the trickle effect for change. Black Lives Matter started with a few voices on Facebook and people speaking out about their issues. Mike Brown, Eric Garner, though we wouldn't know about it if that one person that we didn't even know their names didn't record it and post it and said this is wrong. So at the end of the day, you have to. If nobody else, you can't depend on anybody else but you. If you see something, you have to say something. It's our right, just like Andrew said, to vote. Our greatest asset, I'm sorry, whoever says vote, it doesn't matter. I don't know what country you live in because I don't know what else matters here. I don't know how you can be a citizen here and not think that voting is the only way that you can be a part of the system. 12 years ago, I was arguing people talking about the first black president. They thought it was a joke. I remember Steve Harvey and all the King's Comedy was a joke about barbecue on the White House lawn. And then we got Barack Obama. That happened because he voted. That didn't happen because of anything else. Right now, we have people in the Democratic primaries like Stacey Abrams and Andrew Gillum and people like that. That happened because people vote. So you can't say that it doesn't matter when you see every day right in front of our faces people rise up to the occasion. Alexandra Ocasio, her campaign was straight from the ground up. So we have our voices are the only thing that matters. And when they tell you it doesn't, that's fake news.
So maybe you can speak a little bit to why the midterm elections matter, because I think a lot of people, they're not voting unless there is a black candidate, and otherwise like, I'm not gonna vote. Or like, I got too much to do today, girl, I got something in my hair today, I ain't got time to go vote. No, it is important. But why are the midterm elections important if anybody wants to speak to that?
I think that one of the issues that most people, and I'm going to speak for some of the younger generation because that's what I connect with to an extent. What happens is they don't know how the voting process works. They don't know the candidates. A lot of times we don't hear about the candidates until it's a week before and you start seeing all of these posters with faces that you've never heard, names that you've never heard, and you don't know who to vote for. So even if you do vote, 9 times out of 10, I notice that a lot of the younger people are voting for whoever older in their family or someone that they know told them to vote for. They don't know the history. They don't know what these positions hold or what bodies of government that they would be in charge of or what laws or rules they would be able to take. And then not only the lack of knowledge, there's also this thing that they have where if you're a convicted felon, or if you're on parole, or if you're on post-release supervision, they don't allow you to vote. I found that out firsthand. And it's so weird because those people who have been incarcerated or have been through the system, now they want to vote. Now you know why your vote counts and why you need to vote. So it's just so many different, but there's ways to get around that too. People that you can write to and forms that you can fill out so that you can get your right to vote back. So I think the problem with a lot of people in our community, and unfortunately it's not just with the younger generation, but I do see it more so with them, is that they don't know the process of voting. They don't know that, not that they don't think it's important, because they do, they just don't know the process. How do you get registered? Where do I register? They don't realize that where they have to go, that coincides with the address that's on their ID. They don't realize that some of these candidates are people that you can go and we don't hear about the rallies until they're on TV, if they're big enough to be on TV. We don't know where to go and listen to these people speak or who represents our borough or our community. Unfortunately, I finally learned, but later on in life, had I known this earlier, I could have been one of those people helping make a difference. So I think we as a people, we need to help our youngins and even some of the old people understand the process of voting. Get out the word faster, not the week before it's time to vote, not the day of or the day before, because that's what usually happens. You need to really get out here and stop trying to get the vote of the other people, because that's what it seems like they go. They go to the other places and try to get their vote, and they ignore the vote that's right there in the community.
I think I blame the school. Wait, they're 12 and they make 3 of me because they don't really get the exercise. And then you have people that don't know how the government works because they didn't learn in school. I think that it'd be nice for those of you who belong to churches to ask your church to do a night where everybody comes and just have someone explain the process, explain who does what to them. You go to church, learn something. If you can learn that good book with all that antiquated language, you can learn a computer book. You can learn anything if you can learn all that stuff. What chapter, what verse, who said this, Ecclesiastes 12 stuff. That is so, that shows how brilliant you are. So use that for something else. So I think we need to teach our children and our adults about the government. If we can't do it in school, then we need to do it in our churches or our community centers or whatever. Just have classes for that. By the way, you have to register before October 1st, so, October 12th. I just wanted to get that in. The 12th, you have to register, okay? So please do that. And don't listen to anybody who says don't vote, it's not important, because they're kind of stupid. When I was young, my parents would not let me date a guy who did not vote after a certain while. Well, before I was able to date, I was too young and they wouldn't let me out. But when I was able to date a man, my father, who was a Republican, and my mother was a Democrat, so we had a lot of very, very intense discussions in my home. But the point being, my father would not let me date a guy no matter what who was not registered to vote. You are women. Most of you in here are women. I see some brothers in here. You're cute too. But what I'm saying is, women, we can change all this. If you tell your daughter, don't go out with that guy unless he votes, then that guy's going to vote. Because why do men go out with women? Why do they? Because they want women. They want the prettiest women. They want the best women they can get. If the pretty, nice women or the good-looking women or the smart women don't go out with these guys, they're not going to deal drugs. They're not going to not vote. Because you say, oh no, my parents won't let me go out. You deal drugs? I can't go out with you. My parents are not going to. If they can't get girls, they're going to stop. Because it's all about getting women with men. You know that. Wake up, you know. That's what I'm talking about.
They vote twice.
They do it, that's right. They do it because they want women. All right? So if you, as women, do not date men who do certain things, or even if they come out of the joint, there are ways, like Remy said, to gain your vote back, depending upon your state. The rules are different. But you can gain the vote back. But if you go out with somebody who's part of the problem, who doesn't vote, that's a person who's part of the problem. Okay, then you don't need to date him. You know, and then if he can't get dates, he's going to do something about that. And that's what we want to do. We want to generally and gently persuade people to do the right thing. Because screaming at them doesn't work. They don't remember that we were stopped, we were lynched. People that tried to register black people to vote were killed. Why do you think that was? Had to be something about voting. Had to be something that they were willing to kill us so that we didn't register. Remember that.
All right, man. Now, you know what?